bring in Chris Mannix in Sports Illustrated. He covers the NBA for the magazine. His first mock draft comes out Thursday on SI.com. Jabari Parker will announce tomorrow his future. What do you expect to happen, Chris?
I'm totally up in the air on this right now, Dan, and I can tell you it's making a lot of executives that are drafting in that top five or potentially drafting that top five pretty nervous. All along, everyone just assumed that the idea of getting to that second contract, of making the immediate money, would bring Jabari out, much like it's bringing a lot of these other guys out. But the more days go by and the less information that seems to be out there, there's a lot of uncertainty there. I think the presence of Jahlil Okafor, who was Jabari's AAU teammate in Chicago, he knows him really well. I think that's influential. I think getting beaten the first round the way they were, I think that's been influential in Jabari's decision. So it's easy to sit here and assume that he's going to take the money and come out, but there's absolutely no degree of certainty on that.
As far as the mock draft goes, nice consolation prize. Is there one overall prize, even if Jabari Parker comes out, which I think he's going to stay, but is there one grand prize here that you say for the Milwaukee Bucks or the 76ers or whoever, you know what, it was worth it?
I'd be shocked if whoever has that top overall pick doesn't take Andrew Wiggins. I think he's fast becoming the consensus guy, even though he had that tough tournament, didn't play particularly well in Kansas games. Teams are just too high on him. Everyone I've been talking to for this mock draft, they say wait to the combine. They say wait and see what Joel Embiid's back looks like. They say wait and see what happens with Dante Exum. I mean, remember, nobody's really had a good look, a first-hand look at Dante Exum in months, if not years. So I think a lot of teams are looking to get him into individual workouts and obviously at that pre-draft camp in Chicago in the middle of May.
He's your Ricky Rubio. He's your new Ricky Rubio, isn't he?
Dante? No. Yeah. I don't know him well enough yet.
You seem to bring him up. You're kind of flirting with him.
You compare Willie Cauley-Stein to Kevin Garnett. What world am I living in?
Well, have you seen the athleticism on this kid?
I have, but listen, I think Willie Cauley-Stein is more of a Kenyon Martin type than he is Kevin Garnett. I mean, Willie's a really good defensive player and a really good rebounder, but I mean, when Kevin even came out of high school, you knew Kevin had the makings of a real offensive
He had a jumper.
Game.
He had a 15-footer that was legitimate. I'll give you that.
He does, and Willie doesn't have that. Through 2 years at Kentucky, he doesn't even have the makings of that. He's pretty much just a dunker and a putback guy. If he develops that, maybe. But right now, he's a backup. Though I'll tell you what, Dan, when I heard him come back, I was shocked, really. I mean, he's going back to a school that presumably has Dakari Johnson coming back, has Marcus Lee coming back, has a couple of incoming freshmen on that front line, in addition to Alex Poitras, who's probably coming back. I mean, there's going to be a real fight for minutes for Willie Cauley-Stein next year. And the only thing I could think of was that this stress fracture must be more serious than people are really saying right now. Because if he can't work out for teams at the pre-draft thing or individual workouts, that could certainly cost him some spots in the draft. But it's definitely a big risk for Willie Cauley-Stein to come back to Kentucky.
He's Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated. I'll remind you about this in a couple of years.
I have no doubt.
The first-round matchup where we will see a surprise.
Well, surprise, it's so tough to say if we'll see a surprise anywhere. I do think that Charlotte is going to give Miami a series. I believe it. I don't think it's going to be a 4-round walkover. And even if it is, I think every one of those games is going to be close. Charlotte plays great defense.
Yeah.
And even though LeBron put 65 or so on them a few weeks back, I mean, they're a tough defensive team. They don't turn the ball over either. I think they're first in the NBA in turnovers.
I need an upset special. Give me an upset special, Chris. I don't need to hear about how good Charlotte plays unless you're calling the upset.
I don't have a first-round upset. I don't. I think all the
Golden State against Clippers.
If Andrew Bogut was healthy, I would say that's an upset, potential upset could happen. But without Bogut, Dan, I mean, they sacrificed a lot of depth in Golden State by signing Andre Iguodala to all that money. They lost Carl Landry. They lost Jarrett Jack. You're talking about plugging Jermaine O'Neal into that 5 spot.
Yikes.
And one of the reasons that the Warriors have been so effective defensively this year is because Bogut's been kind of that linchpin on that back line. You don't have Bogut. All of a sudden, you're opening up gaping holes on defense, and I think that could allow a guy like Blake Griffin and Chris Paul to just run wild.
So if I gave you the Heat or the West?
I'm taking the West. You could give me the Heat or San Antonio, and I'm taking the Spurs right now. I mean, they are unbelievably good this season. I mean, look across the board at the things they're putting up, numbers they're putting up. Their bench is the best bench in the NBA. Their win differential is the best in the NBA. Everything statistically about San Antonio screams that they're a better team than what they were last year. And the way they play on the road, even though they're going to have home court advantage because they have the best record in basketball, but they're the best road team in the NBA this year. I mean, they're deeper, they're stronger. Kawhi Leonard, look at his numbers, Dan, over the last 2 months of the season. Ever since he came back from that broken hand, he has been fantastic.
He's been their best player.
As long as they don't lose one of their key guys in the first few rounds of the postseason, I'll tell you what, and I don't mean to walk that fine line again with the first-round matchup that might be good, but, 3 years ago, Dan, what was it, Memphis gave San Antonio, took them out in the first round. Now, Memphis is a worse team than they were 3 years ago. And remember that series, Manu Ginobili had that broken elbow, so San Antonio is a much better team, but that's going to be kind of a knockdown, drag-out series in that first round that even if San Antonio wins it, they could come out a little worse for wear because of it.
Lakers, are they staying with Mike D'Antoni?
I doubt it. The expectation, and again, it's mostly speculation right now because I don't think the Lakers have made any concrete decisions, but the expectation is that Mike's going to go. I just think the big reason for it is that you can't recruit free agents with Mike as the coach. And even if, let's say Carmelo Anthony, for example, you're not recruiting Carmelo Anthony to the Lakers with Mike D'Antoni on the sideline. And I think that's applicable for a lot of different guys. Mike's system, it works with certain players and certain teams, but the average superstar, I don't think he's going to be eager to come and play for Mike D'Antoni. So I'd be surprised at this point if Mike came back.
Before I let you go, I know you covered the Pacquiao-Bradley fight. Are we done? We passed the Pacquiao-Mayweather? That ship has sailed years ago?
We're done. We're totally done, and I personally couldn't possibly care less about that fight anymore. That fight should have happened 3 years ago when both those guys were in the primes of their careers, when both of them were the top 1-2 guys in boxing. What I saw from Manny Pacquiao last weekend, Dan, was a guy that is still an elite fighter but is nowhere near the killer we saw from 2007 to 2010 when he was knocking out Ricky Hatton and Oscar De La Hoya and Miguel Cotto. He is still a guy that can win a decision, but not being able to knock down or knock out a guy like Tim Bradley, who's been knocked down before in several fights. He's been knocked down. That spoke to me about where Pacquiao is at this stage of his career, whereas Mayweather, because he has not taken much of a beating in the ring for most of his career because of the way he fights, because he's taken so much time off during his career, I think that's made him a far superior fighter. But I'll tell you one other thing, Dan. There's got to be some comeuppance for these guys. There's got to be some rebuking for these guys. And I've said before, they're both going to be up for the Hall of Fame ballot, 5 years after their career retires. And I will not vote for either one of them on that first ballot in the Hall of Fame because there's got to be some kind of penalty for not, making the fight that everybody wanted to see, that would have been the best fight in boxing, that would have, brought boxing maybe back from the brink. Not doing that was a disservice to the sport.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, Dan.
That's Chris Mannix.